Hi everyone and welcome to the podcast. I'm Jonathan Moday and we're really excited to be joined today by a few of my other Moveli brokers. We've got a brilliant group of people who are all here and work in different parts of the country. We're just going to talk through how that works and how we work a bit differently from traditional estate agents. What we're going to look at is the local market, the wider market, why things might be a little bit slow at the moment. We've got 3 episodes that are going to be clipped in today. But first of all, I'm going to introduce my colleagues. So we'll start off with Sharon.
Hi, I'm Sharon from Bath. Joined Moveli about 2 years ago and not looked back, really.
And Sharon, where were you before you started with Moveli? What was your background?
About 14 years in Bath with the apartment company. I ran that.
Yeah.
So it came to a natural place where I just wanted to be on my own, really, and offer a service that I felt I was only offering half of that service when I was with a high street agent, really. So I wanted to complete the whole thing from beginning to end, just give a client that service. And that's what I'm doing.
I think that's a lot of our experiences, isn't it? Of wanting to do the whole thing and provide good services from start to finish rather than just list it, get it on, move on, give it to an egg.
And be let down.
Yeah. And one of our newest joiners, Liz, is with us today. Liz is a fellow Devonite with me. So Liz, give us a bit of background about yourself.
Hi, I'm Liz. I joined Moveli only about a month ago, but I have been on my own for about 5 years. Before that, I also own a letting agency and did a few bits and bobs with Savills, but actually come from a legal background. So was in law, had children, same story of probably most female lawyers, all of the stuff that happens when you have children. And they let me go and that was it. Moved into property to be at home with the children. And then it sort of scaled from there and just absolutely love it. Always been from a property background. My parents are in property. We've been renovating for the last 15 years and it just naturally flowed.
And were you in property law?
No,
weren't in property law. Interesting.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's probably a bow in your cap,
Yes,
not being in property
yeah,
law.
exactly.
Sorry, all solicitors that are watching. But Liz has been a successful buying agent that I've known for a few years now across Devon. So what's really great is that Liz does both sides of buying agency and selling, which are obviously are 2 very different hats that you've got to wear. But I think having that experience on both sides for your clients is a real benefit because they get the benefit of the advice on both sides, not just someone who's sat there giving just sales advice. It's actually the whole property market of, well, you can go and give estate agency advice, but then you're also saying, well, if I came in as a buying agent, I would be saying this rather than just tied to, okay, we need to do this to sell it. It's a better all-round perspective, I think, which is great.
Absolutely. It's a natural flow, actually. Yeah. I think it's a strange situation in the UK where we don't do that. And, it wouldn't be the first time I've had a phone call from an estate agent telling me I shouldn't be doing both.
Yeah.
But it is that natural progression where you have a buying client, you have the relationship, you've been working with them for a year, 2 years, sometimes longer. And you know exactly what they're after. You know their buying history, their selling history. And it's a natural flow that they would then ask you because they trust you and have a relationship with you to then represent them in their sales. So it was just a natural progression, really. But it's taken me until sort of the last year or so to move into sales and have the confidence to walk away from potentially, referrals or support from the traditional high street agencies, which I rely on as a buying agent.
Yeah.
But I think the UK market is shifting so quickly that actually now it makes sense to be just representing a client as a whole.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll move on to Ken.
Yeah, morning. I'm Ken Dowling. So I joined Moveli, I'd say 2.5, 3 months ago. So still early days, but it's, I guess it's been a bit of a breath of fresh air. Like Sharon mentioned, just being able to deliver that all-round service and being there from the very beginning point of seeing the house for the first time and meeting the clients and right the way through to completion day. There's an awful lot more onus on you. There's a lot more accountability, and that's something I've actually enjoyed, rather than you kind of jump in at parts along the way and you're trying to manage a wider team helping a client, but there's a lack of consistency, I guess. So no, I've really enjoyed it. And in terms of background, I'd been a letting agent based in London for a long time. I've been an estate agent for 15 or 16 years. And I went into sales, I'd say 3 or 4 years ago. And it's been quite useful having worn both caps, because a lot of the clients I'm working with at the moment, they were previous landlords. They're now looking to sell. They're looking to buy something as a primary residence for themselves. So understanding a bit more about their motivations, where they see value, is really, really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so finally, I'm going to introduce Amy. We're going to swap out. So you're going to have the last bit of me being boring in this episode. What we're going to talk through in this one is just the local market. So we're going to really focus on, Amy's going to introduce her market. She's going to talk through where we're at with those things. And then we're all just going to have a little wider discussion about what's going on, where we're at, and actually not just look at what the house price index says on pricing, what's happening in real world terms on the ground, because it's a quite stark difference to what you'd get if you just followed Rightmove's email that comes out monthly. So I'm going to switch out, Amy's going to switch in, and we'll go from there.
So I'm Amy Rogers. I cover the Somerset and North Somerset area for Moveli. I have been there now for a year. So it's been quite tough starting up because you literally are starting on your own, but obviously you've got all the support from Moveli, and I wouldn't change it. I love it. It's nice to have that independence. Previously, I worked in London for 17 years for some big agencies like Knight Frank. I was based in Chelsea, so I wanted to come home and put all my knowledge into that one area and start up on my own. So Moveli has given me that chance to do so.
So with Moveli, I mean, what's been the biggest change? I mean, we mentioned earlier about the service level and take it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Is that a similar route for you? Is that what you're enjoying at the moment?
Yeah, I am, definitely. And because it's always been my dream to be on my own. Working in a corporate is hard. It's hard work. It's very it changed massively. So we were making sort of 50 calls a day. And yeah, you wouldn't necessarily be two people you needed to call. So being on your own it's much more bespoke,
Yeah, I think you made a good point as well. At the beginning, it's quite tricky starting out.
Yeah, it is.
It takes a big leap to go into this sort of model.
Absolutely.
And especially in this market that we're in at the moment, it is a really tough market, I think. I don't know how you guys are finding it.
I think it's bringing a new brand to a city where they haven't heard of you. And that's huge, because in Bath, Rightmove tell me there are 72 agents. I mean, 72. There are a lot of chimney pots, but 72 agents is a lot of agents. I don't know if they're all active, but that's, what they're saying. So you bring in this fabulous new marketing and you bring in this new name and people are, who are you? Where have you come from? And you really are having to carve out that sort of space for yourself and, to get in with whoever really you need to, whatever level in the market, just to get your name heard. And then I think it's more, I was known for the apartment market. So everyone's calling me about apartments and I'm striving to get into the housing market. And slowly it's coming, but it's tough. And we haven't had the easiest couple of years.
No.
And my theory is if we can make it in these years, it's coming. The big year is coming, next year, the year after, I think it'll get easier for us. There's been a lot of shit, it's tough. And the market, you've got terrified vendors who are thinking, I'm going to hold on to my property because actually next year, maybe it'll have sprung back to where I thought it was a year ago. And then on the other hand, you've got the buyers who are very shy because they're thinking, I don't know about mortgages or, world peace or whatever they want, whatever's going on, whoever's making the news that day. And I think that uncertainty has just affected the real core of the market.
And can I just say, Sharon, also, I think the other agents haven't helped because I think all the agents have panicked and they've gone in and valued things at such a high level.
You're right.
So then we're left in a mess picking up the pieces, I think, a lot of the time.
100%.
Yeah.
I think what you said was interesting about trying to carve your way in a new marketplace or a new city. And I guess with Moveli, it's great because the branding is so powerful and the network is so strong. But probably Liz and I are benefiting from this at the moment, that it's a well-trodden path. You've all got into your cities and locations without the track record there as the brand. Okay, you might be known individually, but we can then take the best of what everybody else has done, what's worked, what's not worked, and apply it in our own markets.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, I unfortunately am in a city where you can't have boards.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how annoying? So I've got properties all over Bath with no boards.
And boards work.
Which
is a shame for you.
And it's just brand awareness, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to get brand awareness in Bath from boards.
Boards do work.
Yeah.
They do. I have people call me from boards. Yeah. So
well,
they do work.
Sorry,
Sharon.
I'm sure your boards work.
They work.
I think there is, and we'll probably come on to it a little bit later in more detail. There's obviously a place with certain types of property and in certain markets for the off-market route. But it's staggering. No, exactly. When you're dealing with certain types of property, and I think as experienced agents, we know where an off-market route would be the better route. But it is
at the moment. No, I've found.
Yeah, and I think I'm surprised at the number of vendors I sit in front of who want their property to be the best kept secret.
Yes.
And you think, well,
why?
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is that? You either want to sell it at a premium price at a quickly, or you don't.
Yeah, and then you get the
call. Do you want to sell your
It's
property?
a real London thing, though. Like, I've got, I used to ring up people. I've got a great off-market instruction. Come and see it. Everyone would get all excited. Then you get an offer, but the client would still want it to go to the market because he thinks, I can still get a better price. So you can just go round in circles with it. But
I don't think it's a market for having anything off-market
not at the
right
moment.
now. I think, and also when you start up, my database would not be large enough to really service an off-market property because, the properties are from 200 to 3 million and your database is small when you start out. Okay, now, 2 years later, it's quite chunky. But in the beginning, if I'd have been off-market, I'd been phoning myself. That would be it. But now, I don't think it's that market now anyway.
I think the key point there is benefit to both us as agents, but as a vendor who wants to sell, I mean, there are clients who just do not want to board up. You try and unpick why that is. Well, I just don't want one. And you're met with this resistance, yet you get a phone call next week going, well, why have you got no viewings booked in or how's the marketing push?
I think they're terrified of nosy neighbours. I think people think, Mrs. Jones down the road, she's going to come and wants to see what new sofa I've got or, what's going on in my house. And that's very much village mentality. But I think what the vendor has to realise is that we're experienced professionals and we'll wheedle those people out.
Yeah, we qualify
We'll see
them.
their addresses 2 doors down and think, this is a bit odd. Let's go further and see why they want to move 2 doors up.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think they need to trust us, and I think trust is the word. A partnership with your vendor, trusting you, and if you're saying in your area a board is what's necessary, a board is necessary. Take it from us.
I think there's another interesting point there, and it's about the neighbours and this idea that they want to look at the sofa or what kitchen did they put in last year, etc., etc. But the reality is, and certainly with my book of both buyers and sellers, and I suspect it'll be similar to you guys, you do have an awful lot of upsizing and downsizing going on. And I think if you're in a particular location, the biggest advocate for that location is going to be the neighbours. So whether it's a neighbour looking to upsize or downsize, or if a house comes on the market or a neighbour's aware of it, their friend from the school gate, their cousin, whoever it might be, they're going to be a really good, let's say, amplification of your marketing because the area doesn't take selling to them. So I think actually this idea that you don't want the neighbours to know, I would go completely against that and say, well, actually, you want them to be a bit of an echo to your marketing push.
Yeah.
Particularly in a difficult market, I think there's never been a more important time to be thinking about, okay, how can I increase my exposure? How can I get more eyes on my property? And I think there is a point at which you say, okay, I need to just get over the fact that people are going to be snooping around my kitchen, because it will be the minority. and just think, well, I'm doing this for a purpose. I need to move on. I need the best price, and ultimately just put it everywhere because, you know, I don't know what you're finding in the market, but certainly, funnily enough, when the sales side is tricky or, you know, it's a really difficult market, the buying side is much better for me. I think at the moment I'm seeing a lot of off-market property. You know, vendors don't want to sell. They don't want to put it on the market. They're waiting. God knows what for, because I think we're in for this for a while. You know, and I could have forgiven that last year. Last year was very difficult. Everybody wanted to wait and see what happened. And now we know we're in for the long haul. I think actually you either want to move or you don't want to move, you know, and things aren't going to change anytime soon. You know, we've got, in Cornwall in particular, you've got double council taxation, you've got removal of non-dom status, you've got inflation, you've got all of these things going on. That's not going to suddenly be better. So, but I think those are those conversations we need to have, you know, and the property market does come in waves. It always does. We're in a buying market at the moment.
Have you struggled with the second homes?
Yes.
Down and down. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cornwall is really difficult at the moment. Anything sort of in that prime market is very difficult. And I think the press isn't helping, as usual, you know, whipping things up and making it more difficult.
5 million.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely awful. Yeah.
I'd say it's similar in Cheltenham and the Cotswolds as well. I'm seeing the same.
Board.
Yeah.
Across the board.
I think if we think about boards and exposure and showing the neighbours and just going back to that for a moment, I think that the perfect scenario here is a blend of both. You have a little run off market and you get your key buying agency in, you ring the best buyers in your book that you know are looking to transact, or if they've lost out on certain properties, you can bring a product or a property to them with the air of exclusivity. And sometimes it helps to get the strongest offer because your client has the ace card up their sleeve that, look, put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
Don't come in and waste time and give a really cheeky offer. You've got to pay these clients not to go to the open market. And I've seen that work really, really well. So I think there's probably a position for both. Okay, maybe not board up day one unless you want to sell next week. If you have a little bit of time, okay, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks off market push, there is a value to it. But really at that point, you make a decision, or the client makes a decision, and it's, well, we either settle in for maybe a year, maybe longer, and we keep it a really well-kept secret, or we open the gates now and we cast the net wide and get as many buyers in as we can.
I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And giving it some structure as well about it.
Absolutely.
I think the clarity on the strategy is essential.
Exactly.
And I know I had the keys over to a family yesterday. They've just completed on a house, and I was the fifth agent into that house. And the one thing that stood out when I asked them, why did you choose me? It was the clear strategy on how we're going to do this. And that was exactly, as I said, an off-market push, followed by ramping it up and going on market. So I think it's appreciated, but we've got to sometimes...
But you have to be clear.
But you have to be clear.
Right, take the time.
So they know that, you know, silence can be deafening, you know, in all of this. So I think it's vital that we're speaking, we have this relationship with our clients, giving them the clear sort of, this is what we're doing now, then we're going to try this. If this doesn't work, then we'll move to, you know, point B or, you know, whatever. I think that's really true.
Yeah.
I think when sussing out that strategy or working it out with a client and figuring out what they really want, what they really need, it's important to take a pause sometimes because it's very easy for both the client, by the time they have you in, a lot of them are in the mindset, right, we've toiled over this decision for 6 months or a year. We want to move. We need to go now. We think the market's going to crash. We think rates are going to go up, down, whatever they think is going to happen. And I think as agents, you can get very excited thinking, great, new instruction and let's get going on this tomorrow. Sometimes it pays to just pause and be calculated about it and make sure that when you do go off market, on market, there is a clear reason for it and you know what the objective is, rather than just let's throw it on with all of the other properties around and see what happens.
Well, I think also gone are the days when, you know, the portals were the be all and end all. I think it's really, you know, strategy's never been more essential.
Yeah.
And if you can communicate that, then that's building that trust with your client and them understanding that you totally understand what the market is doing right now and that you are the best person placed to navigate that for them and get them the best possible result. You know, that's the most important thing in that relationship. And it might well take a year, but obviously, if you can build that trust, then it will pay dividends.
So we'll have more episodes coming. So please stay tuned. These will go out in 3 different episodes. So enjoy them and subscribe, like, and follow. Thanks very much.